We're continuing our series on the power to change, and it takes power to change. Change is tough. Change is hard. Change is challenging, and so the power to change is why we're calling this series just what it is. We're moving today to another subject, but before we even go there, I'm going to start off really slow today. Now, just because I'm starting off slow doesn't mean you go to sleep, okay? I want you to stay awake, all right? Because this could be one of those subjects that you can just check out on because you don't want to talk about it. But nobody's going to leave. If you have to go to the bathroom and you can't wait, please go. But we're going to just zero in today. I'm going to go real slow as we open this little lesson up, this lesson on holy habits. How many of you, and you don't have to raise your hand, okay, but how many of you, when asking yourself the question, I am hoping to change something. I am hoping to change something in my life. I'm hoping to. I really hope to make a change. I really hope to make a change. Just going to give you a few examples here, just to kind of get your brain in gear a little bit. You might say, it could be you that, yeah, I'm hoping to get out of debt. I'm hoping to improve my marriage. I'm hoping to get in better shape. I'm hoping to get organized. I'm hoping that the price of eggs does not go up. And I'm hoping there's not a mystery balloon flying over my town. All of us, we can honestly say, I'm positive we can honestly say, I'm hoping for that. And we have said it probably time and time again. And I love hope. We need hope. Hope is absolutely one of those very needful, positive words in our vocabulary, and it's a very positive word that we need to have in our life. Okay? We never want to go through life without hope. We have to have it. But hope alone, it won't change your life. Hoping for something by itself, with nothing else, will not change your life, and it will not change my life. Habits will. Habits will change us, but hope by itself will not change us. All right, just for a little quiz. Just go back in your mind for a little bit. I'm going to let you do this even though you're in church. Go back in your mind just for a little bit and just ask yourself the question, what did I do last Wednesday morning? Last Wednesday morning. Okay. And while you're there, what did you do last Tuesday morning? Or last Monday morning? Probably pretty much the same thing on Tuesday that you did on Wednesday. We all have habits that we're into, and we are victims of that. I'm not going to paint your picture, but first of all, I wake up. Second of all, I go to the bathroom. Okay? And then the list goes on. We're going to get into more of this later on. So, what did you do last Tuesday? What did you do last Wednesday? What did you do last? Probably some of the same things. Most of what you normally do isn't a result of hope. You didn't do what you did last Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. You didn't do it because of hope. You did it as a result of habits in your life. Habits. The study of the Duke University said this. It shows that over 40% of our actions that we do daily are not a result of decisions. 40% of our actions are not a result of decisions. They are a result of our habits. That's pretty high. 40% of our actions are a result of our habits, not necessarily our decisions. So, if you want to change your life, you have to change your habits. So I'm going to call this holy habits. We've all got habits. How many holy habits do we have? If you have your Bibles or your sermon section or on the screen, we're going to go to the 6th chapter of Daniel. And I'm just going to give you some background here just for a little bit, and this is going to be where I'm drawing this thought from today. In Daniel chapter 6, it was 587 years BC. It was BC. And King Nebuchadnezzar, you can say boo because he was a bad, bad king. King Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians, they destroyed Jerusalem. They were wicked. It was King Nebuchadnezzar that they burned the temple. They murdered countless peoples and took people captive. And they chose the best of the best to indoctrinate them into the Babylonian ways. So, it was Daniel. Really, you might say Daniel didn't have a chance, okay? So this king has this crazy, crazy dream, and the angel of God gave Daniel the ability to interpret the king's dream. So he did. Got on the good side of the king. And the king just basically said, wow, there's no way. He said, surely your God must be the one true God. So there became a connection, just a little bit of a connection there, because of how God was able to use Daniel regarding interpreting the dream. So how did God do something so big through Daniel? And I think sometimes it doesn't always take the big things. We think, oh, I got to make this big change in my life. And I'm going to give you an illustration here after a bit that's going to definitely prove that to be wrong. It doesn't have to be the big things. So we go back to Daniel, and we see that it was this deal where the king now has found favor with Daniel, and now here they are, the backdrop of this. So the king is now planning to promote Daniel, and the key leaders, they were so jealous, and they were going to take Daniel out, but yet they couldn't find any weakness in him. So in verse 5 it says, finally these men said, we will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel. Wouldn't that be something to be said of us? That's powerful. What a testimony right there. That just hit me just a little bit harder than it has before. Unless it has something to do with the law of his God. So, the evil leaders, they pressured this king Nebuchadnezzar to make a law that if anyone prays to any other god except their God, that they're going to be thrown into the lion's den. And of course, we know that's exactly what happened. And now in verse 10, now when Daniel learned, we're going to talk about now this habit, the power of habit. When Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day, he got down on his knees and he prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. I see several things in this one verse. I see that he has prayed not only 3 times a day on his knees, in his prayer closet, so to speak, but I like the last words where it says, just as he had done before. So it wasn't this one-time deal. It wasn't because, oh, I'm in trouble. It wasn't because, oh my goodness, I'm not going to survive. I've got to really, I'm in a desperate situation. How many people pray only in desperate situations through my years of pastoring? Time and time again. I can't name them. I was just talking about this last week to somebody. I can't name the times when people say, oh, pastor, please, please pray. If God answers my prayer, I promise you I will do this. And you know what, folks? It doesn't happen very often. But Daniel prayed 3 times a day, not just one time, as he had done before. As he had done before. So now, why is it that he's facing this lion in a lion's den? Why is it that Daniel was set apart from the others? It was because Daniel prayed. Daniel prayed, just as he had done before. One small habit in his life. One holy habit of Daniel: prayer. I'm going to talk a little bit about prayer this morning. Not even in your sermon section. I told you I'm probably not going to preach today, but I want to talk to you about this for a little bit before we do a review. How do you define prayer? How is prayer a part of your life? How does prayer look in your life? And I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just here to challenge each one of us this morning. How does prayer look in your life? Well, Pastor, I'm going to be honest with you, and I appreciate that. Here's how my prayer looks. I am so busy. I'm so rushed. And even though I get up early every morning, I am so rushed and I'm so busy. So I just, really, the only time I really pray is on my short drive to work. But I do pray. Unless something distracts me, I do pray. And things will distract us. We better let things distract us on the road. The things that are coming at us and the things that might not need to be there. So we need to keep our eyes on the road, and we need to keep probably our mind on what we're doing when we are traveling, even though God is with us wherever we go. And I'm not saying you can't pray and drive at the same time. Just don't do like many people, close your eyes. Actually, mind the scriptures where it says watch and pray. Please use that scripture when you are driving. Watch and prayer. But let's go look at Daniel. His prayer time, what did it do for him? I'm going to just suggest that the prayer time that Daniel had with God, it gave him an intimacy with God. It was like as he prayed, he 3 times a day, didn't say how long he prayed or anything like that, but as he prayed, we know it was a big part of his life because it's really emphasized here. I believe it gave him courage. It gave him intimacy with God. I believe it gave him the power to resist temptation. Obviously, this was a big one. I believe it gave him the strength to stand firm. And I believe it gave him the help not to follow the ways of the world. So, what does your prayer life do to you? You say, well, Pastor, I really don't, prayer is awkward to me, and I know I'm supposed to do it, but boy, I for sure don't pray out loud, and I for sure won't pray in front of anybody else. And folks, I understand all of those dynamics. I really do. I'm not saying I totally understand them to be a lifelong thing for everybody, but that's just me, and I'm your friend. But there's something about prayer that needs to be more than just the word. And the reason I'm emphasizing this, we have a long prayer list. Now, if we all would spend 10 minutes on each one of those prayer list on the prayer list, it would be a long prayer, and we probably would have to take a couple days, maybe vacation from work. It's a long list. But my point is, this thing of prayer, it has to be more than just a habit, even though I'm emphasizing that today. I just believe this whole thing with prayer needs to be a whole new arena maybe in your life. If it hasn't been something maybe emphasized to you before. And we all do things different. We all have different backgrounds, and I understand that. And I just want you to know that I can pray anywhere too. But there's times that I just simply say, I'm going to the church. I leave the house. I drive to the church, and there's nobody here but me. It could be late at night. It could be early in the morning. It could be in the middle of Saturday afternoon when nobody else is here. And I find myself, this is one place I come to when I really seek God in prayer. Sure, I've got more than one room in my house. I can shut the door. Nobody's going to bother me. I understand that. But there's something about prayer and you and God that needs to be more than just an okie dokie thing. I prayed today, check it off the list. And I'm just exaggerating that just a little bit. But here we are. Never underestimate how God can start something big through something that is small. So in your prayer life, if you're really having trouble praying, just maybe pray 2 more sentences today, or maybe write your little list out and say, okay, today I'm going to pray not only for myself, I'm going to pray for my wife or my kids or my neighbor, or I'm going to pray for Pastor Rich or whatever. Just whatever you do, just make sure that is something that is a big part of your life, even though it could start out with something that is very, very small. Let's do a little review. 3 Sundays ago, Chris spoke on the very, very first lesson in this series. And as we looked at that lesson, it was really the real lasting change that takes place through what we're calling the why. Okay? It was start with the why. It's not life modification. It's not just a behavioral, I'm going to just change my behavior in this area of my life, and then I'm going to be okay with God. We learned in that lesson that real and lasting change isn't behavioral modification, but it's what we call, and the Bible calls, it's spiritual transformation. Okay? And I'm just going to say it one more time. If you haven't had spiritual transformation, you can have it. And you need it. And it's for you, but it's for me, it's for everybody. Spiritual transformation. That takes place as we looked at the why. Last week, we looked at the who. And we looked last week at the identification. Why is identifying us? Why is it that we are? Why do we do what we do? And as believers, we do what we do because it is the spiritual who. Who am I? I am a believer. I am a person who is now in Christ Jesus. I am a new creation. The old is gone, the new has come. So we looked at the why, we looked at the who last week, and today we're looking at the spiritual what. What is it that's going to take place? What is it that's going to change? What is it that's going to move me from where I'm at to where I want to be? Okay? So based on who you are, okay, and who you want to become, what's one habit that you want to start with? What is one habit that you need to start? What is one thing that you need to do? Now, they say if we do things at least 7 times, it's way more likely to become a habit than if we don't do it yet 7 times, okay? Boy, I could just use a lot of illustrations here because you all know them. You all have your own illustrations as to what you do habitually. You do it you drive to work. You almost don't even remember crossing the railroad track. You almost don't remember stopping at the traffic light. You almost don't remember going by that one store. But here you are, you're at work. You do it every single day. It's habitual. It's almost like on autopilot. It just almost goes there by itself. The things that we do in our life that are just habitual. But let's look to how we can change our spiritual life, okay? It doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be, okay, I've got to get my house paid off before next month or what, It just start with something small. Start with something small and make it a habit. Some of you, maybe since last Sunday, maybe you just quit making it a habit to hit the snooze button 6 or 7 times. Maybe this last week you say, okay, I'm going to make a habit to get up when it goes off the first time. I don't know. If that would be the case, that would be something small that you were maybe doing in your life. Let me just give you a little list as to what I think could take place. Okay, you might want to say this. You might say this. I really want to care about people. That's one thing I want to do. I really want to be a person who really cares about people, okay? Maybe you just need to write a note. Maybe this week only write 2 notes. Not to the 25 people that you care about, but maybe just write 2 notes this next week and let somebody know that you really, really appreciate them and you care for them, okay? Maybe you want to get organized. Oh, you're overwhelmed. You look at your life and you look at your office, you look at your desk, you look at your room, you look at your closet, and you're totally overwhelmed, okay? And you want to get organized, okay? Here's one for you. Make the bed first. Maybe you say, I never make my bed. Are you organized? Maybe you are, but maybe you're not. Maybe if you would make your bed first. Heard someone say this probably 40 years ago, okay? If you can't do everything in your house to make it like it needs to be, 2 things they said, make sure. And listen, I actually did this. I promise. I've done this for years. And I'm still kind of doing it. I got a lot of help now, but I'm still doing it. The help I've got is I don't make the bed anymore. Somebody else does. But for years and years, if I would be the last one up, I would make the bed. And the second thing, if you can't clean the whole house and get ready for everybody, but just in case somebody stops by, not that they're going to go in your bedroom, but that kind of gets you organized. Make your bed and make sure the dishes are washed. Now, someone says, I'm going to go a step further. I'm not only going to wash them and let them dry in the drain, in the strainer or whatever. I'm going to put them away. So when you walk in the kitchen, it looks totally organized. Man, the dishes are done. It kind of promotes you. It's just maybe the little things that's going to help you to get organized. Maybe you want to be a godly example, but you really don't know what to do, okay? Maybe you just need to pull somebody aside, whether it be somebody young or older or somebody your age, whatever. Just pull somebody aside. Say, hey, you know what? Can we at least maybe do a little something together biblically? Maybe exchange scripture verses or devotionals or whatever. Just something small. Maybe you want to get healthy, and you really want to get hope. You hope to get healthy, but not only do you hope to, you want to really, really get healthy. I saw my youngest brother the other day, and I said, Mark, you look great. And Mark had a tendency to be just a little bit thick. Is that a good word? My sons told me to definitely say that about the female. She's a little thick or whatever. Someone said, just don't say anything. Okay, so I don't. Whew, where am I going with this? Okay, Mark tended to be just a little bit thick. I said, Mark, my goodness, you look great. What are you doing? I don't know, Rich. He said, I'm just not doing much. I said, what are you doing? Well, he said, I cut out soda. I don't drink soda anymore. He said, and I don't eat fast foods anymore. Man, like deep fried stuff and like French fries and stuff like that. He said, I just cut that out of my diet. I said, what? Oh, he said, I eat chicken and I eat fish. And he said, I have a steak every once in a while. He said, but mainly, he said, I just started cutting out soda. To him, it was something small. My goodness, a big result. You might say, I want to just get closer to God. I just want to get closer to God. What can I do that will help me get closer to God? I just have you might, okay, I just want to attend church more often. I want to be regularly a regular church attender. And I have a scripture to help us with that one, okay, just in case we need one. I just want to be your friend today. In Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, I know I'm talking to the choir because you're all here, okay? Now, if you lay out for the next 5 weeks, I talk to you. You're the one I talk to if you only come here once every 5 weeks. But anyway, it says, giving up, don't give up, it says, the meeting together. Not giving up, meeting together, as some have made a habit. But let us encourage one another, and all the more as we see the day approaching. So there's something scriptural about coming to church. Now, that's not the only spiritual thing you need to do in your life. If you only come to church and get one meal a week and you do nothing else spiritually, that's not the answer for you. But I do know this. If you want to get closer to God, if you make him a priority on your Sundays and coming to church, I believe that will help you. That will definitely help you get closer to God. So based on who you want to become, what one habit must you start? You say, I hate to start anything new. So I know this is not a message that is going to just make everybody so flamboyant and walk out of here on cloud 13. But I want to help you with this part of it. It's a habit that's going to help us, not just the hoping. The hoping can be the hoping for years and years and years. There must be activity. There must be something that takes place with action. So how do I create a new habit? I'm just going to give you two little nuggets that will help. Okay? Make it obvious. Just make it obvious. And there in your sermon section, we have a little diagram, as you see it there. And it looks like you're going to have the cue, okay? There's the clue. You have to have a clue, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. A clue, the craving, the response, and then the reward. I had a horrible, horrible time remembering to take my vitamins or my supplements. So now we lay them out. It doesn't look sexy, doesn't look really nice, had them laid out on the table or the countertop. But you know what? Until I can learn to remember, and it's really, really a habit, I'm going to have that as being my cue, okay? It's my cue. There, oh yeah. Okay, I've got to take my, okay? And then the other follows that. So I think we have to have those things in our life to help us. It doesn't come natural. Holy habits don't necessarily become natural. Yet to follow God, I think, is a desire, all of that. But to create holy habits that will spur us and move us into a closer direction with God, I don't think it just is automatic. We have to kind of put together and make it obvious. So whatever you need to do, make it obvious. If you want to get in a habit not forgetting your phone, you say, what are you talking about? Some people have a habit of forgetting their phone. It's a habit now. What do you mean it's a habit? They forget it every time. I'm almost one of those persons. I asked myself the question the other day, how can you carry something? How can you have something to be a part of your life for more than 20 years? More than 20. Even the little flipper job that we had, the little flip jobs that, took up half your pocket, even though they weren't bigger, but they were bulky. How can we forget something that we have had to be a part of our life for years and years and years? I'm not real sure. And it has nothing to do with white hair. Let's move on. Okay. We got to make it obvious. Okay, make it obvious. And the second thing I think you need to do, I think as we are going to only make it obvious, make it easy. Make it easy. Nearly 2 years ago, my brother Steve went in for a checkup. He took a stress test and had some tests run. And the result of that was he had a heart problem. And so he thought, okay, I'm going to go have the stress test and probably, I might have to have a catheterization or whatever, but I'm going to go home. So he has all these tests run, and he kind of acts like he's going to get up. And the doctor says, you're not going anywhere except to the hospital. He says, you're going to have open heart surgery tomorrow. So I get the word from Marcia that Steve's going to have an open heart surgery, and his family flies in from Florida, and I drove down to Cincinnati, and he had no clue I was there. Comes out of the recovery room and down the hallway, and we're all looking at him, and he's talking all kind of crazy things. He had open heart surgery. Now, Steve's a lot older than I am. Steve's at least over 3 years older than I am, okay? That's a lot, isn't it? Say yes, okay. When he was here the other day for Father's Day and spoke for us, someone said, now, who's the oldest? They were only teasing. They knew who was the oldest. They said the same thing to Steve, too, and he said, are they teasing? I knew they were, and he was wondering if they were. Anyway, we're moving on. I lost you a long, long time ago. After he had open heart surgery, I drove back to Plymouth, Ohio, and that very next day, I started going to the gym, and with a little exception of maybe being away from town or whatever, away from here, even some weekends, I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you, because of what happened with my brother Steve, I am at the gym every morning, 5 days a week, for 2 years. What was it? You say, well, that was something big. You know what else was big? His open heart surgery was big. So in that case, I just didn't say, you know what, I'm going to start out little. I'm going to go maybe once a month. How many go to the gym once a month? Don't raise your hand. Chris will be over there and sign you up. Of course, if you've already joined the gym, he still cares because he cares about your health, even though he still gets the money, hopefully. But anyway, in that case, it was something big. But I made it a habit to go to the gym. You say, but how do you go to the gym when you don't feel good? Yes. Do you go to the gym when you get to bed late? Yes. Do you go to the gym when it's raining? Yes. What is it? I got in a habit of going to the gym. So don't say, boy, I just can't do it. Habits are hard. Maybe you have some bad habits you need to break. You know how hard those are. Try to break the bad habits and replace it with a holy habit. How's that sound? That's not even in my notes. Okay. Make it obvious. Make it easy. Start out small. Make it easy. And I'm not going to go through all of that. But you have a little deal there where it says, I will do blank after I do blank. Okay? Maybe you're going to write in there, I'm going to have my devotions after I go to the bathroom. Okay? Now, with my schedule, I'm at the gym real early, and I get up every morning before breakfast. Boy, you guys, I'm almost done, but man, you're killing me. But somebody just woke up. Huh? What are they laughing about? I have my devotions after I come back from the gym, have my shower, I have my devotions. Sometimes I have my devotions before I have my shower. I take my devotional book, it's laying on the end table in my office. It's laying there. It's allowed to lay there. Nobody's going to put it away. Nobody's going to put it away. Tina's is laying over here by the fireplace on the end table. I don't fool with her Bibles and devotional books, and she doesn't fool with my devotional books and my Bibles. Did you get that? I don't care if you say it's not supposed to be there. Look at me. Leave it alone. If it's not yours, leave it alone. We're done. I've lost you. Daniel prayed 3 times a day. Did he pray after breakfast? Maybe. Did he pray after he had his Fruit Loops? No, he didn't have Fruit Loops. Did he pray after his lunch? Did he pray after his evening meal? I don't know. But he had a habit. He prayed 3 times a day. The spiritual who, the spiritual why, and the spiritual what. Look what Timothy says. Physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better, promising benefits in this life and the life to come. That needs to be your verse today, possibly. That one verse, maybe nothing else I said even grabbed a hold of you, but right there. Did you notice he didn't put physical exercise above the spiritual? Just saying. You said, but boy, Pat, you talked about going to the gym every day. Yeah. I pray and read my Bible every day too. Is that okay? Whatever. Okay. We get it. One small habit at a time will help you and will help me to become more like Jesus. Okay? So based on that one small habit, okay, it's going to be a big deal in your life. One more verse. Zechariah chapter 4 and verse 10. Do not despise these small beginnings. Small things are important. For the Lord rejoices to see the work begin.